What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. I really do hope you guys are well. Today I want to answer a question that I've been getting a lot recently, and that is quite simply, I'm level 50 now, what do I do? I'm on the legendary servers, I'm level 50, level cap, what do I do? Well, you can relax, have good faith, I'm going to talk you through it. I'm going to break down what I would consider to be the more popular options when you hit level cap, when you get to a point where you're no longer accruing experience points. Now, first and foremost, this of course is subjective. A lot of this depends on what you want out of an MMO, what you want out of Lord of the Rings Online, and what you're interested in might be very different to what I am. But hopefully you can take something away from this video. As always, if you guys enjoy this sort of content, Lord of the Rings Online content, or just Lord of the Rings, please do consider leaving a like rating and subscribing for the algorithm gods, and truthfully just to make me a little bit happy too. I guess we should just start at the top, what I would consider to be the most popular option when you're level 50, and that is grinding raids and instances in Gath Forthnir, in Angmar. This is where a lot of your legendary quests, your legendary Angmar weeklies will be, and you'll grind these out for gear. If you're doing raids, for example, if you're doing Rift, you'll grind for best in slot, you can grind for cosmetic items, you can trade in currencies to some of the traders within Gath Forthnir for a set gear as well, which will be a massive increase over and above any gear that you've got at that point anyway. A lot of these activities as well aren't just instanced or within raids. You've actually got some world bosses like Bogbareth, for example, that you can go and track down, and these are of course repeatable. You repeat these, you get currency rewards, or you get other gem rewards that you can trade in for other items, some of which are just cosmetic, but some of which can actually benefit your character's stats and progression a lot. This tends to be where a large bulk of the community will be at the true end game of a level 50 cap. So if you are one for social interaction and you want to sort of chase around and have a good time with a bunch of people, this is probably where you'll spend a majority of your time. We touched on it briefly a short while ago, but Rift is of course something that a lot of people drive for. If you've been watching this channel, it's something that I've been exploring a lot, and that is the 12-man instanced raid where you get a lot of rewards for. Now there is a camp which you can travel to, which I believe is called Lorien's Camp. I could have quoted that wrong, but that is where a lot of the items you get within the Rift raid will be used for currency exchange. You've actually got individual class traders for your specific class where you can trade for class gear and all sorts of other intricacies and shinies. If you keep grinding this, grinding up the reputation, grinding out the gear, then by the time Mines of Moria comes about, you will be more than ready to take a dive into the darkness, as they say. Next up, alternatively, ironically, you can make an alternative character. It's absolutely no shock that Lord of the Rings Online has a wide array of classes to choose from. I personally main a Lore Master, but I thought it'd be fun to re-roll a Beorning. I wanted something a bit more tanky. I mean, my Lore Master's great, he does a lot of damage, but he can't take that much damage when it's aimed towards me, so it does give you a bit of variance to consider as well. This is also a great way of accessing more storage for yourself, more Lord of the Rings Online points, and just a bit more variety. Just because you make an alternative character doesn't mean you have to follow the same linear path. If you've skipped through the epic book quests and you've read everything beforehand, then you can obviously just blast through these now for gear, for reputation, for currency. So it just allows you to play things a little bit differently. Not only that, when the expansion does come out, you've got a couple of characters that are set at level 50 and ready to go. And you've got a bit of variety for when it comes to group content. You can offer a bit more, you can put a bit more on the table if people are asking you to run certain roles. Next up is something I would highly recommend, and that is potentially searching for a kinship. Now, kinships are fantastic for a lot of reasons, but for me, it's the social experience. I love being able to chat to people on a daily basis, checking on their in real life lives and what's going on within the landscape of the game. And we actually have one on the Mordor server that we created. So if any of you guys are interested on the Mordor legendary server, if you want to join a kinship, we have one. So just reach out and I'll send you an invite. Outside of the social aspect though, kinships are fantastic for running regular, structured instance and open world content, such as, in terms of open world content, such as the Vale of the Nine. Now, as far as I'm aware, one of the 9 ring wraiths will pop up, I think it's every 3 to 4 days, something like that, and if you're in a kinship, you can all go off to certain parts of the map, search for the ring wraith, call upon each other, give each other the location, and help to ultimately kill it and reap the rewards. And this just saves you having to find a bunch of randoms for a party that you might not get. Outside of the open world stuff, kinships are fantastic for running instance and raid content, particularly at higher tier levels. Now, I've only ever managed to do Rift on tier 1 with randoms, but I can imagine if we got a structured group that were fairly consistent, knew their classes, knew what we expect off of each other whilst having fun, then clearing into T2, potentially T3 might be a bit too much, but at least it gives you the opportunity to push into content and difficulties that you couldn't otherwise. Alongside Rift, you've also got other missions which have difficulties known as delves. Now, these delves, they run, as far as I'm aware off the top of my head, from 1 to 10, each tier getting progressively more difficult with more debuffs and attributes that you've got to account for, but they do offer more rewards, more currencies, and if you've got a more consistent and larger party, you're going to be able to take these down a little bit easier. We touched on instances beforehand, but there are certain instances that offer legendary item traceries, which, even though the legendary items aren't available right now, you can still bank these for when they become available in Moria. I believe it's Fornost that has quite a few legendary item tracery drops, so keep an eye out for those and they're worth checking out. Now, with the addition of the legendary servers, we also got the Wraith spawns, which to many now is an absolute burden, but they do come with their rewards. They drop Tattered Shadows. I think the lowest amount you can earn is 2, then it goes up to 6 and then potentially more, but you'll need a boatload of these to trade to Amelia, who is in Esteldin. You'll grind the reputation with her, then you get options to unlock jewellery and cosmetic pets, which is always something everyone likes. So it will take you a little bit of a while to do. I'd recommend having a reputation booster with you before you trade them in, as it will just speed that journey up a little bit. Now, to many of you that have done these over and over again over the years, and this probably isn't for you, but if you are sick of doing raids and instances, you can of course finish the epic book story quest. The quests are really well put together. A lot of them take you through side by side with what the Fellowship's doing before, after, and during, and you get quite a few nice gear rewards. Not the best gear, but certainly passable for what you're trying to do. When you are at level cap and if you're chasing gear, it is of course always important to focus on maximising your virtues, especially the ones that you focus on mainly for your class and getting as many passives out of them as possible. And a lot of this can be done by completing and hunting down deeds. Many deeds can of course be completed throughout instances and questing, but a lot of them are tied to exploration, so don't be afraid to put the sword and shield down for a while and just go for a walk, because you might be surprised, and hey, you're getting something out of it at the end of the day, whether it's a portrait frame, whether it's a title, gear, XP, it's just worth doing. Last on the list is something that I'm guilty of not doing at all. I've never touched it whatsoever, but you could also drop absolutely everything and go crafting. I have nothing to say on crafting, I know nothing about it, but I'm sure if you are that way inclined, you can do so. I'm sure it's fantastic and enjoyable, but it's just not for me. With that being said, that does bring us to the end of the video. I hope you guys have found this somewhat interesting, somewhat eye-opening, and hopefully it's helped answer the question a little bit. As always, if you do enjoy this sort of content, leave a like, subscribe, and all that rubbish, and I'll see you guys in the next one.